Good evening from New York. Happy Friday. I'm Chris Hayes. By now, you have probably seen images of the president pointedly not wearing a mask. Here he is in the Rose Garden today, maskless, while Dr. Deborah Birx and Dr. Anthony Fauci wore masks behind him. Here he is yesterday without a mask at a Pennsylvania medical supply company where just about everyone else had a mask on, for obvious reasons. And you can see the president just does not think masks are for him. He reportedly dislikes masks and thinks they suggest weakness.
I just don't want to wear one myself. It's a recommendation. They recommend it. I'm feeling good. I don't know. Somehow I don't see it for myself. I won't be doing it personally. It's a recommendation. OK?
You might have noticed also that not wearing a mask has sort of become a weird kind of culture war virtue signaling by Trump people. Like Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas, who was seen on the House floor today, sitting in the back of the chamber and chatting with colleagues without wearing a mask. Or the people at the right-wing Open Up America rallies, like this one yesterday in Minnesota. Or the people who crowded into this Wisconsin bar right after the state Supreme Court struck down their stay-at-home order to celebrate. Or the guy that Trump actually retweeted attacking the, quote, commies in blue states and saying that people in Florida are all out at bars having a good time without masks on. Here's the thing. These people are, as we stress on the show often, very much the minority. Right now, it remains the case. America continues to be sort of amazingly unified in the polling in wanting to go slowly and cautiously to make sure we have the virus under control as we try to reopen. And as for masks, in a recent poll, 81% of Americans say workers at open businesses should be required to wear them. 76% say customers should be required to wear masks as well. But for Donald Trump's own stated aims, for the stated aims of those protesters and all the right-wingers out there who think they are the ones, the vanguard of opening up America and getting American capitalism cracking again, there is nothing stupider, nothing more counterproductive you can do than turn not wearing a mask into some right-wing badge of honor. The way that Rush Limbaugh did today when he mocked Dr. Fauci for wearing a mask at a White House event. Because the mask is your friend, Donald Trump, Rush Limbaugh, protesters. If the stated goal here is to open up the American economy, get people back to work, achieve some level of normalcy, something that we all desperately want, there is really good evidence that everyone wearing a mask can really help us in that project. Hong Kong, which is doing incredibly well, is telling the world that masks work. It has had only 4 known deaths total from the coronavirus. And people there have been able to continue to live their lives and do things like ride the subway and go to crowded restaurants. You see, they all wear masks there. They started masking immediately when the virus started emerging from Wuhan. Because the main way we know this virus is being transmitted is from droplets that are coming out of people's mouths when they talk and when they yell and when they sing and when they cough and when they breathe. And so if you wear a mask, you help keep those droplets away from other people, which is key because a lot of the transmission is asymptomatic. You don't know you're sick. And there's another way to explain it, actually, which was in a meme that went viral, you might have seen, even tweeted out by the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. Here it is, quote, if we all run around naked and someone pees on you, you get wet right away. If you are wearing pants, some of the pee will get through, but not as much, so you're better protected. But if the guy who pees also is wearing pants, the pee stays with him, and you do not get wet. It's a pretty good way of putting it. Now, let me just say, I get why people do not want to wear a mask. I personally don't like wearing one. In case you haven't noticed, I wear glasses. It fogs up my glasses. I'm walking around in a fog haze. I'm also a little claustrophobic. I find it kind of claustrophobic, kind of annoying. But you know what? So what? In the grand scheme of things. I mean, right now, we are facing a pandemic that has ravaged everyone's life, the country. It's killed 88,000 of our fellow citizens. It's shut down half the world. 35 million people are unemployed. We're all homeschooling our kids and not leaving the house. We're reckoning with all these terrible policy choices, agonizing. Should we open schools or not? And all these choices, they have these huge costs and sort of competing interests on either side, no matter what we do. The easiest, lowest hanging fruit to make things at least somewhat better, the smallest, most trivial thing is let's all wear masks, right? We have seen culture wars waged against simple safety measures before. This is not new. There are people who are against things like seatbelt laws, which we all now take for granted, and we also know saved countless lives. We saw the same thing with protests against laws requiring motorcyclists to wear helmets.
I don't think it's the government's responsibility to take care of me. It's my job.
While riding helmetless may be reckless, it's a symbol of personal freedom, which bikers in California say is another freedom lost.
What will it be next? No blondes in a convertible?
There was a time when people thought helmet laws and seatbelt requirements and laws against smoking in indoor spaces was just insane tyranny.
Smokers are either resigned or resentful.
Now everybody's worried about, a little bit of smoke around the office.
I've been smoking for 35 years. If it was that bad, I'd be dead already.
In fact, there were even protests against masks during the 1918 flu pandemic. An anti-mask league that denounced a mandatory mask ordinance in San Francisco. It's a real thing. So this is not new. We've seen it all before. But a huge part of the answer to the question of how much we can get back to normal and how quickly is going to be our own behavioral changes, not just government policy, not just the trajectory of the virus, what we do. And that means masks. It's bad enough the president has failed at solving the problem, that he's declared bankruptcy on even trying. But I can think of nothing more pernicious, nothing more stupid than actively spreading propaganda to make the problem worse.
Hi, Beth. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us in. Oh, I got a shirt.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
I love it. You know your governor?
Oh, yes.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Nice
Hey,
to
Governor,
see
how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh, my God. The American people have done an amazing job. Being willing to step forward, put other people's health first, especially the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Make the sacrifices, and it's why, despite the heartbreaking losses you've had here in Florida and people we've lost around the country, we really know that we've slowed the spread.
Yes.
And now we're opening up.
Ready to get back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opening up.
Yes.
Whatever that new normal is,
Yes.
we're ready to get back to it.
Okay. What do you recommend?
So, do you like spicy or not spicy?
Not spicy.
So we're gonna go. What's your favorite?
Hey guys.
Lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion.
Load it up.
Okay. That's for you.
Okay, great.
Great. And then Governor.
I'm going to do the double with cheddar cheese all the way. Can I do the onions grilled?
You sure can.
And I will do a unsweet iced tea.
Thank you so much.
You like being open again?
It's awesome, man. Great.
I love it.
Basketball court opened up yesterday. Awesome.
Did you watch The Last Dance?
Yes.
That was the best thing on TV because there was no live sports earlier.
One Vice President, can you say, can I shoot though? Can you shoot though? I can shoot.
Now, we've been talking a lot today about the easing of lockdown restrictions in some countries, and many of those same countries are making the wearing of face masks compulsory. Let's bring in Ross Atkins on the issue. Hi Ross, you've been looking into this for us.
Hi Babita, yes, I think face masks are very much going to become part of many of our lives now, in particular those countries where lockdowns are being lifted. Now, some countries have even passed laws making it illegal to leave the house without a mask. Spain's taking a gentler approach. Not everyone has to wear one, but if you're in Spain and you want to take public transport, you won't be allowed to get on without one. This was the underground in Madrid this morning, and as you can see, Red Cross workers have been handing out masks to people who may need one. And this was Brussels. Similar rules in place. Police were stopping anyone without a mask and making them cover up. Well, we know France is to follow with similar rules when its lockdown is eased next Monday, and the UK may also be following suit soon. Remember what Boris Johnson said at the end of last week?
What I certainly agree with is that as part of coming out of the lockdown, I do think that face coverings will be useful, both for epidemiological reasons, but also for giving people confidence that they can go back to work.
Now, for those of you watching in Europe, wearing a face mask is likely to be a new experience. That's much less the case for those of you watching in Asia, where masks are much more common. Here's Vincent Nee from the BBC World Service.
You might wonder why so many people in Asia wear face coverings. In Hong Kong, Taipei, and Tokyo, people wear face masks when going about their business. Historians say the customs of wearing face masks began in Japan in the early 20th century, but more recently, outbreaks of infectious diseases such as SARS in 2003 encouraged people to cover their faces in public. Now, it is not always easy and comfortable to wear face cover in public, especially in warm weather, but over time, people just get used to it. There's no clear evidence, however, in Asia that face masks stop the virus from being transmitted between humans, but many believe they will reduce the risks of catching the disease, and that's why, since COVID-19 was first reported in China late last year, we have seen even more people in Asia wearing face masks.
That may be the perception, but actually the science is a little bit different. Wearing masks is primarily advised because they're designed to stop people potentially spreading the virus. It is also, in some cases, there to protect the individual. And on that second point, some people say, well, look, we don't want to do it. They say they don't want to protect themselves. And this has become a feature of protests against lockdown measures, particularly in the US. You may well have seen this image. It's been widely shared online. The sign reads, "My body, my choice." And as I'm sure you know, that's a slogan that's long been used in the abortion debate. This protester, though, is in Texas and is obviously trying to use it to make a very different point. The thing is, though, that face masks aren't really there to protect the wearer. Scientists, including the UK's Royal Society, say the main purpose of face covering is to stop anyone who has the virus from spreading it to others. Well, let's hear from Eleanor Murray, an assistant professor of public health at Boston University. Here she is on what the mask can and can't do to stop the virus.
The scientific research on the use of masks for the general public to stop the spread of infectious disease is a little bit mixed, but mostly because we haven't really had a good opportunity or reason to study this question in the past. Evidence that we do have does suggest that individuals who are infectious when they wear a mask can reduce their transmission to other people. We also know that people with SARS-CoV-2 can be infectious before they start to show symptoms, and so this is why it might be a good idea for the general public to wear masks. It's important to remember that a mask doesn't substitute for staying a good distance apart from other people, and that a mask, once it's up against your face, is now a potential surface for contamination. So you want to make sure to wash your hands well before and after putting on or taking off your mask, to put on or take off your mask only by using the straps or elastics and not by touching the face part. And don't adjust your mask using the face piece of the mask while you're wearing it. Once you've put it on, try to leave it alone and don't touch it until you're ready to take it off for the day. When you're finished using your cloth mask for the day, you want to make sure to wash it in warm, soapy water, and this will be a good way to clean that mask and make sure that any infectious particles on the mask are destroyed before the next time you use it.
Ellie also had some advice for anyone wondering what sort of mask to wear. Well, to stop spreading the virus to others, a homemade one, made out of an old t-shirt, for instance, she says will work fine. But for protecting yourself from catching it, and particularly for anyone working in healthcare, obviously, that's when you need a more sophisticated, properly produced mask to make sure it's keeping you safe. And with that, it's back to you, Babita.
Charles, thank you very much.